fragile. Handle with utmost care. Zara Chen read the warning label on the supposedly indestructible combat training module for the 15th time, rolling her eyes so hard she probably sprained something. The device, a sleek silver sphere that resembled a fancy paperweight, was allegedly capable of withstanding the gravitational forces of a neutron star. Yet somehow, the Galactic Federation Academy insisted on treating it like it was made of wet tissue paper. Remember, Cadet Chen Professor Xthrix's mandibles clicked nervously as all four of their eyes focused on her hands. These are precision instruments calibrated for beings of culture and refinement. The way the Arachnidian instructor emphasized those words made it clear what they thought of humanity's refinement level. Zara bit back a snort. Yes, Professor. I'll be extremely gentle. She held the sphere with the same delicacy she'd used to handle antimatter, which was to say, she barely touched it at all. This, of course, caused the sphere to slip through her fingers and bounce off her boot. The entire training hall gasped in horror. Professor Xthrix's carapace turned a fascinating shade of pale green. Cadet Chen. That module costs more than your entire planet's annual GDP. It's supposed to be indestructible, right? Zara retrieved the perfectly unmarked sphere from the floor. So technically I just proved it works. From the back of the class, she heard T-Lax, her Meridian classmate, whisper rather loudly, classic Deathworlder logic. Break things first, ask questions never. I heard that. Zara called out, causing T-Lax's bioluminescent spots to flash in embarrassment. And for the record, I haven't broken anything today. She paused, checking her chronometer. It's only 0900 hours though, so there's still time. Professor Xthrix's mandibles clattered in what Zara had learned was their equivalent of a stress-induced twitch. Perhaps we should move on to the practical demonstration. Cadet Chen, please activate the module by applying precisely 0.3 newtons of pressure to the activation node. Zara stared at the sphere. Right. 0.3 newtons. Exactly how much is? You know what? I'll just tap it very, very lightly. She reached out with one finger, applying what she thought was the gentlest pressure possible. The sphere emitted a horrible cracking sound. The entire class took 3 steps back. Oh, come on, Zara protested as hairline fractures spread across the supposedly indestructible surface. I barely touched it. This is discrimination against species with actual muscle density. Professor Xthrix's antennae drooped so low they nearly touched the floor. That's the 4th training module this week, Cadet Chen. Perhaps we should discuss your transfer to the Theoretical Studies Department. With all due respect, Professor, I don't think hiding me away in a classroom is going to solve the problem. Zara held up the cracked sphere, which chose that exact moment to split completely in half. Besides, doesn't this prove there's a serious design flaw? What if these things break this easily in actual combat? They don't break in actual combat, Professor Xthrix said wearily, because no other species is capable of applying such excessive force. Excessive force is kind of our thing, Zara muttered, then added more loudly, I mean, wouldn't it be better to make equipment that can handle a variety of species' strength levels? What if you encounter a new race that's even stronger than humans? The entire class shuddered at the thought. That's quite enough theoretical discussions for today, Professor Xthrix announced, carefully taking the broken pieces from Zara's hands using a pair of magnetic tongs. Class dismissed. And Cadet Chen. Yes, Professor. Please submit your requisition form for a new training module. And this time, please remember to check the box marked Deathworlder handling warning so they can apply the appropriate reinforcement protocols. As Zara left the training hall, she could hear her classmates whispering about the crazy human who breaks everything. She smiled to herself. If they thought this was bad, wait until they saw what happened in hand-to-hand combat training tomorrow. At least she'd finally gotten them to stop making the training equipment out of that crystal glass material that exploded into a million pieces every time she touched it. Progress was progress, even if it came with an equipment casualty count higher than most small-scale wars. The Academy's main amphitheater buzzed with excitement as holographic displays flickered to life, showing sweeping vistas of planet Nexus 7. Dean V. Reith, their Centaurian administrator, floated at the podium, their tentacles waving in what Zara had learned was their species' equivalent of enthusiastic jazz hands. Esteemed cadets, the Dean's translator chirped. We are thrilled to announce this year's survival training exercise will take place on the garden world of Nexus 7. The alien cadets erupted in cheers. Zara, meanwhile, squinted at the fine print scrolling beneath the paradise-like images. Terms like minimal environmental hazards and carefully controlled ecosystem set off every warning bell in her head. Is something wrong? Chen whispered KRX, her Voltarian roommate. You're making that face humans make when they smell something deteriorating. Yeah, it's called skepticism, Zara muttered, pulling up the planet's specs on her datapad. Notice how they don't mention any predators. Of course not. KRX's antenna wiggled happily. Nexus 7 is a Category 1 safe zone. No creatures above danger level 0.3 on the Galactic scale. Zara snorted. Right, because predators always check their danger ratings before deciding to eat something. The Dean continued their presentation, outlining what they called reasonable safety precautions. Zara started taking notes. Emergency beacons with a 5-second delay, because apparently instant help is too mainstream. Protective suits rated for mild temperature variations. What exactly counts as mild? The vacuum of space is technically a temperature variation. Standard ration packs now with 73% less flavor. And her personal favorite meditation guides for peaceful conflict resolution with local fauna. I'm bringing my knife, Zara decided. KRX's crystalline skin nearly shattered in horror. But that's not on the approved equipment list. Neither is common sense, but I'm bringing that too. While her classmates discussed which luxury items to pack, apparently portable massage units were considered essential survival gear, Zara made her own preparations. She stuffed her backpack with things the equipment officer called barbarically redundant water purification tablets, fire-starting materials, and actual rope, not the dissolving eco-friendly kind the Academy supplied. Chen Professor Xthrix called out as she requisitioned extra medical supplies. Why are you requesting a full trauma kit? This is a supervised training exercise, not a war zone. Just being prepared, Professor. You know what they say on Earth, hope for the best, pack for the apocalypse. That's not a real saying. It is now. The day before departure, Zara watched her fellow cadets pack their bags with what they considered survival essentials: meditation crystals, harmony enhancers, and enough moisturizer to drown a small moon. Meanwhile, she was busy waterproofing her boots and sharpening her totally not approved but I'm bringing it anyway knife. You're taking this way too seriously, Tlax commented, watching her test the tensile strength of her paracord. The course supervisors won't even let us get minor scratches. My third cousin's roommate did this exercise last year, said it was basically a camping holiday. Zara replied, double-checking her first aid supplies. And did your third cousin's roommate mention why they needed to establish a permanent rescue outpost on a perfectly safe training planet? That's just standard safety protocol. Right. Just like those indestructible training modules. Zara smiled sweetly, patting her fully loaded backpack. I'll tell you what, if nothing goes wrong, you can all laugh at the paranoid Deathworlder. But if something does happen... She shrugged. Well, at least one of us will be prepared for more than a spiritual journey through carefully curated nature. The first sign that something was wrong came 3 days into the survival exercise, which had so far involved more guided meditation sessions than actual surviving. Zara was sitting on a moss-covered log, pretending to achieve inner peace while secretly plotting ways to make the experience more challenging, when she heard the distinctive hum of cloaking technology failing. Did anyone else hear that? She asked, already reaching for her definitely not regulation knife. Hear what? KRX was still sitting cross-legged, eyes closed in perfect meditation form. I'm trying to commune with the harmonious energies of... The rest of their sentence was drowned out by the thunderous landing of a massive ship, its stealth systems completely offline. The vessel's black hull bore the scarred markings of a dozen different worlds, and none of them were friendly. Oh look, Zara drawled, unexpected visitors. How shocking. If only someone had packed for this totally unpredictable scenario. The ship's main hatch opened with a menacing hiss, revealing a crew of drachnid pirates scaled, hulking figures that would have been intimidating if Zara hadn't grown up watching B-grade monster movies with worse costume design. "Greetings, precious little cadets," the lead pirate's voice boomed through a translator that needed serious calibration. "I am Captain Vex Thor, and you are now my valuable merchandise." The training camp erupted into chaos. Professor Xthrix's mandibles were clicking so fast they sounded like a malfunctioning printer. T-Lax had turned completely transparent, their species' panic response. Several cadets were trying to activate their emergency beacons, only to discover that the 5-second delay had mysteriously turned into signal currently unavailable. "They're jamming communications," Zara muttered, sliding behind a large fern. "How convenient." "This is impossible," KRX whispered, their crystalline form vibrating with fear. "This is a Category 1 safe zone. Pirates are explicitly forbidden." "Yeah, I'm sure they'll turn themselves in once they realize they're breaking regulations," Zara replied, already cataloging potential weapons in their surroundings. The harmless vegetation suddenly looked a lot more useful. Captain Vex Thor strutted through the camp, his crew efficiently herding the terrified cadets into groups. "Don't worry, little ones. You're all very valuable. The illegal research facilities pay top credit for rare species specimens, especially ones with such diverse genetic profiles." Zara's blood ran cold. She'd heard about these operations, black market labs that experimented on different species, trying to unlock their unique biological advantages. Her human DNA would be particularly valuable, which meant... "Has anyone seen the Deathworlder?" One of the pirates was checking a datapad. Manifest shows one human cadet. "Oh, the human," Professor Xthrix's voice quavered. She was reassigned." "Yes, just yesterday. Very unfortunate. Such a loss to our program." Zara could have hugged her instructor for the quick thinking, if it wasn't for the fact that the pirate scanners would eventually prove otherwise. "Search the area," Vex Thor ordered. "Humans are valuable, but they're not very bright. It's probably lost in the woods somewhere." "Not very bright," Zara whispered to herself, pulling out her knife. "Says the genius who brought a ship full of hostages to a planet with actual gravity and atmosphere. Real smart tactical choice there, buddy." She watched as the pirates began their search pattern. Their equipment was high-end, but their formation was sloppy, clearly used to dealing with compliant, peaceful species, rather than someone who'd spent their childhood playing capture the flag in actual dangerous wilderness. Using the cover of the local vegetation, which was far more dense than the carefully maintained ecosystem, would suggest Zara circled around to where T-Lax was trying to merge with a tree trunk. "Hey," she whispered, making the meridian jump. "Stop glowing for a second and listen. I need you to secretly pass a message to the others." "We're going to die," T-Lax whimpered. "They're going to dissect us." "No, they're not," Zara grinned, and there must have been something in her expression because T-Lax's bioluminescent spots dimmed in surprise. They made 3 major mistakes. First, they assumed this would be an easy grab. Second, they didn't bother maintaining their equipment. "I can hear that ship's port thruster misfiring from here." And third, her grin widened. They forgot that humans don't just break training equipment. We break everything. "What? What are you going to do?" "I'm going to show them why Deathworlders have that name," Zara said, checking her supplies. "But first, I need everyone to play along. Tell the others to act completely terrified." "We don't need to act." "Perfect. That's exactly what I need. The more they think they're dealing with helpless cadets, the better this will work." She patted T-Lax's shoulder, careful not to use too much force. "Oh, and one more thing when you hear me yell duck. Well, actually duck. Don't just search your translator for the meaning of the word while standing there looking confused." As T-Lax slid away to spread the message, Zara looked up at the pirate ship, its hulking form casting shadows over their camp. Time to show these pirates why treating a survival exercise like a meditation retreat was actually the second dumbest decision made on Nexus 7 today. The first, of course, was underestimating a human with a backpack full of barbarically redundant equipment and a point to prove about proper safety protocols. Zara gathered her fellow cadets in what appeared to be a surrender circle, but was actually the perfect place to explain her plan without the pirates overhearing. The fact that it also happened to be right next to the pirates' poorly secured equipment cache was just a bonus. Okay, here's what we're going to do, she whispered, while pretending to sob dramatically. Those harmony enhancers you all brought. They're basically portable EMP devices if you reverse the polarity. KRX's crystalline structure practically vibrated with horror. But that would void the warranty. The warranty is the least of our problems right now, Zara hissed. Professor Xthrix, remember how you said my excessive force was inappropriate for the training modules? Well, guess what's about to become a tactical advantage? The professor's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. The pirates' weapons use the same calibration system as our training equipment. Exactly, Zara grinned. They're designed for beings of culture and refinement. Good thing I'm neither. She laid out her plan, watching her classmates' expressions shift from terror to disbelief to reluctant admiration. Tlax's bioluminescent spots were flashing in what Zara hoped was excitement, rather than an allergic reaction to human ingenuity. Phase 1, she explained, we use those meditation crystals to reflect light into their ship's sensors. The crystalline resonance should overload their targeting systems. That's not what meditation crystals are, for one of the Centaurian cadets protested. They are now. Phase 2 KRX, remember how your species can vibrate at specific frequencies? I need you to hit exactly 432 Hertz. But that's the frequency of universal peace. It's also the resonant frequency of their shield generators. Trust me, I counted the harmonics while they were monologuing. The pirates were starting to look suspicious of their huddled group, so Zara quickly outlined Phase 3, which involved using the eco-friendly dissolving rope to create an acid trap. The horror on her classmates' faces when she explained what she planned to do with their luxury moisturizer collection was almost worth getting kidnapped for. This is barbaric, Professor Xthrix whispered, all four eyes wide. Using personal care products as weapons. No, Zara corrected, barbaric would be using my knife. This is just creative repurposing of available resources. She assigned everyone their roles, trying not to laugh at how scandalized they looked when she explained her plan for their anti-gravity meditation cushions. The fact that they brought furniture on a survival exercise still baffled her, but at least it was about to be useful. What about the emergency beacons? Tlax asked. Oh, those. Zara pulled out the one she'd modified on the first day. I removed the delay. Been sending out a signal for the past 10 minutes. You tampered with safety equipment, Professor Xthrix looked faint. I improved it. And before you give me another lecture about regulations, maybe we should focus on the fact that I was right. The professor's antennae drooped in admission. Perhaps some of our safety protocols could use revision. Now, Zara continued, the next part is crucial. When I give the signal, everyone needs to scream in panic. We can do that, KRX said, perhaps too enthusiastically. Perfect. And whatever you do, don't tell the pirates that the thing making their shields fail is actually your universal peace frequency. It'll ruin the psychological impact. As her classmates moved into position, each clutching their repurposed luxury items turned weapons, Zara caught sight of Captain Vex Thor examining their camp's supplies with obvious amusement. Look at this pathetic equipment, he sneered, holding up a harmony enhancer. What were they going to do, meditate us to death? Zara smiled. In about 5 minutes, he was going to find out exactly what happened when you forced a human to get creative with substandard safety equipment and a bunch of new age camping supplies. Ready, she whispered to KRX, who was vibrating with nervous energy, hopefully at the correct frequency. This goes against everything we learned about proper equipment usage, they replied. That's kind of the point. Sometimes the proper way to use something is improperly. Zara checked her modified emergency beacon one last time. Now let's show these pirates why most species don't try to kidnap Deathworlders. It tends to void more than just warranties. Everything went sideways exactly according to plan, which, as Zara explained to her horrified classmates, was the most human part of the strategy. The first phase kicked off when KRX hit their peace frequency vibration, causing the pirates' shield generators to shriek in electronic agony. Captain Vex Thor's crew scrambled to check their equipment, completely missing Tlax using their bioluminescence to blind their scanners. "What's happening?" one pirate yelled, his translator glitching between languages. "I believe," Zara announced, standing up with theatrical timing, "you're experiencing some technical difficulties. Have you tried meditating about it?" The pirate spun toward her voice, only to slip on the perfectly positioned anti-gravity meditation cushions. Watching 4 burly drachnids float helplessly upward while cursing in 7 different languages was exactly the morale boost her fellow cadets needed. "Now," Zara shouted, and the chaos truly began. Professor X-Thrix, finally embracing their inner anarchist, used their 8 legs to launch a barrage of reversed harmony enhancers with terrifying accuracy. Each hit caused the pirates' weapons to short-circuit in spectacular fashion. "My laser rifle," one pirate wailed. It's playing soothing ocean sounds." "Better than what happened to mine," another growled. "It's reciting poetry about peace and understanding." KRX, discovering their previously untapped talent for tactical crystalline refraction, turned their entire body into a disco ball of doom. Pirates stumbled around blinded, walking face first into the sticky strands of dissolved eco-friendly rope that Zara had strung between trees. "Stop them," Vex Thor ordered, trying to maintain dignity while floating 3 meters off the ground. "They're just students with meditation equipment." "Correction," Zara called out, using her knife to cut down a massive pod of local vegetation. "We're students with meditation equipment who read the warning labels." The pod burst open, releasing a cloud of what the survival guide had called mildly aromatic spores, combined with the industrial-strength moisturizer T-Lax had scattered earlier. It created a fog that stuck to everything it touched. 2 pirates tried to rush her position, only to find themselves taking an unexpected biology lesson about human grip strength. Zara utilized their momentum to introduce them to each other at high velocity. Did you just use combat techniques?" Professor X-Thrix asked, mandibles agape. "Nope," Zara grinned, disarming another pirate with a move that would have given her academy combat instructors an aneurysm. "This is just a very aggressive trust fall exercise." The remaining pirates retreated toward their ship, only to discover that someone specifically, a certain human who'd spent too much time breaking indestructible equipment, had figured out exactly how to jam their boarding ramp with a combination of survival rations and reprogrammed meditation crystals. "The ship's controls aren't responding," a pirate technician shouted. "Everything's been replaced with mindfulness exercises." "That's because KRX uploaded their Peaceful Dreams playlist into your mainframe," Zara explained, watching another pirate try and fail to untangle himself from what used to be a self-adjusting sleeping bag. "Your AI is currently achieving enlightenment." The real turning point came when the other cadets, inspired by this display of creative problem-solving, began improvising their own solutions. A group of Voltarians formed a living circuit to overload the pirates' communication equipment. The Meridians used their chameleonic abilities to create such convincing illusions that 2 pirates ran headfirst into each other trying to chase shadows. "This is impossible," Vex Thor shouted from his elevated position. "You're supposed to be helpless academics." "Bold of you to assume academics are helpless," Professor X-Thrix replied, using their ceremonial sash as an improvised bola to trip another pirate. "Did you know I have 3 doctorates in theoretical physics? The theories are becoming very practical right now." Zara watched with pride as her classmates embraced their inner chaos agents. T-Lax had figured out how to weaponize their meditation mantras, using the built-in amplifiers to disorient pirates with recursive philosophical questions. The Centaurian cadets turned their anti-anxiety weighted blankets into surprisingly effective thrown weapons. "Remember," she called out, using a pirate as an impromptu demonstration dummy, "safety equipment is just dangerous equipment with better marketing." The finale came when the pirates, thoroughly defeated by what their scanners insisted was nothing but wellness products and camping supplies, tried to make a last stand near their ship. They hadn't counted on Zara's final modification. She'd reprogrammed all their harmless emergency beacons to activate at once. The resulting electromagnetic pulse wasn't technically part of any approved training protocol, but as she explained to a shocked Professor X-Thrix, neither was getting kidnapped by pirates. That's not what emergency beacons are designed to do," the professor said weakly, watching the pirates' remaining equipment spark and die. Maybe they should be, Zara replied, using her supposedly decorative climbing rope to tie up the last of the pirates. I'm just saying, if we'd had proper survival gear, this would have been over in half the time. Captain Vex Thor, finally descended from his anti-gravity predicament, looked around at his crew, all thoroughly defeated by equipment that, according to their intel, was supposed to be nothing more than luxury camping gear. He announced with surprising dignity, for someone covered in moisturizer and glowing spores, may have miscalculated. The word you're looking for. Zara corrected, demonstrating proper knot-tying technique on his restraints is underestimated, but don't worry, it's a common mistake when dealing with Deathworlders. Almost as common as assuming survival training means the same thing to everyone. Captain Vex Thor, still impressively arrogant for someone whose crew had just been defeated by meditation equipment, managed to break free during the chaos. He sprinted toward his ship's auxiliary control panel, mandibles twisted in what passed for a drachnid smirk. Amusing games, little Deathworlder, he called out, activating the ship's defense turrets. But playtime is over. Let's see how your primitive tricks handle actual military hardware. Primitive, Zara watched calmly as the turrets powered up. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. The turret swiveled, targeting systems locking onto the gathered cadets, and then promptly began playing what sounded suspiciously like Galactic whale songs. What? Vex Thor slammed his fist on the control panel. What did you do? Remember when you were all distracted by KRX's peace vibrations? Zara grinned. That was just a diversion. The real fun was me spending 10 minutes rewiring your actual military hardware while you were monologuing about superior technology. Impossible. Our systems are encrypted with the most advanced. Oh, you mean this encryption? She held up what looked like a mangled harmony enhancer. Turns out these things are really good at breaking through electronic security when you reverse the polarity and hook them up to a modified emergency beacon. Who knew? The pirate captain's scales shifted color in what Zara had learned was the drachnid equivalent of blanching. But you're just a student. A primitive Deathworlder. Yeah, about that whole primitive thing. Zara advanced on him, casually dodging a desperate swipe of his claws. Did you know humans have this really interesting habit? When we find advanced technology, we don't just use it, we take it apart, figure out how it works, and then usually find ways to make it do things it really shouldn't. To demonstrate her point, she pressed a button on her jerry-rigged remote. The ship's external lights began flashing in a seizure-inducing pattern while broadcasting what sounded like every meditation track in the galaxy simultaneously. Your ship's AI is currently achieving digital nirvana, she explained. It's also really into interpretive dance music now. Sorry about that. Professor Xthrix, watching from a safe distance, clicked their mandibles in what might have been approval or horror. Cadet Chen, did you seriously hack a military-grade AI using relaxation apps? Hack is such an ugly word, Professor. I prefer aggressively reprogram through alternative methodology. Vex Thor, realizing his ship was now more interested in achieving inner peace than following commands, made one last desperate move. He pulled out a personal shield generator, the kind that was supposed to be impenetrable to any known weapon. Your primitive understanding of technology ends here, he snarled, activating the shield. This barrier can withstand. Let me guess, Zara interrupted. It can withstand anything except excessive force. She picked up one of the indestructible training modules she'd broken earlier. You know what's funny about advanced technology? It's usually calibrated for advanced users. With perfect form that would have made her combat instructors proud if they weren't too busy having heart attacks about proper equipment usage, she hurled the broken module at Vex Thor's shield. The resulting collision between indestructible technology and primitive human strength created a feedback loop that would have given physics professors nightmares. The shield, designed to repel energy weapons and advance projectiles, had no protocol for handling what was essentially a very enthusiastic throw from a species it considered too primitive to be a threat. That's not. You can't. Vex Thor stared at his fizzing shield generator. The manual says. Yeah, that's your problem right there, Zara said, catching the rebounding module. You actually read the manual. Humans. We just push buttons until something interesting happens. The shield collapsed with a sound like a dying computer trying to sing opera. Vexed Thor, finally understanding just how badly he'd miscalculated, raised his hands in surrender. Perhaps he admitted, watching his ship perform what appeared to be a robotic interpretive dance about the meaning of life, we should update our threat assessment protocols regarding primitive species. Good idea, Zara agreed, using her decorative climbing rope to secure him. You might also want to update your understanding of the word primitive. Sometimes the simplest solution is hitting things really hard with other things. Behind her, the ship's AI began composing haiku about the beauty of binary code. The Galactic Federation response team arrived in full battle formation, weapons charged, ready for a dramatic rescue, only to find 23 pirates zip-tied with meditation sashes. Their ship performing an interpretive light show about universal harmony, and a group of cadets calmly having a picnic amid the chaos. What happened here? Admiral Yvonne demanded, their tentacles twitching in confusion. Survival training, Sir Zara replied cheerfully, offering them a ration bar. Though I have some suggestions about updating the equipment list. The scene behind her looked like a self-help retreat had gone to war. Pirates covered in moisturizer and glowing spores sat in defeated clusters, while the ship's AI continued to compose philosophical poetry about its newfound consciousness. Did you defeat a pirate crew using wellness products? The Admiral's translator seemed to be struggling with the concept. To be fair, Professor Xthrix interjected, all four eyes still wide from the experience. They were very aggressively applied wellness products. In the following days, the Academy underwent some interesting policy changes. The Equipment Approval Board had to create an entirely new classification items that are harmless unless a human gets creative. The survival training curriculum was updated to include a section on alternative applications of meditation equipment, though most instructors looked slightly ill while teaching it. During the official debriefing, Dean V. Reith could barely keep their tentacles still. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. You turned harmony enhancers into EMPs, used moisturizer as tactical terrain modification, and reprogrammed a military-grade AI using relaxation apps. Don't forget the anti-gravity meditation cushions T-Lax added, their bioluminescent spots glowing with newfound appreciation for chaos. Those were surprisingly effective as improvised orbital denial weapons. The Academy's insurance provider had to add several new clauses, most of which specifically mentioned creative reinterpretation of safety equipment and unexpected applications of wellness products. Zara's reputation underwent a dramatic shift. What was once that crazy Deathworlder who breaks everything became that crazy Deathworlder who breaks everything for tactically sound reasons. First-year cadets started checking their equipment's durability rating against the Chen scale of potentially aggressive applications. Professor Xthrix even amended their famous lecture on proper equipment handling to include the phrase, "Remember, just because something can survive a neutron star doesn't mean it can survive a motivated human." As for the pirate's ship, it refused to return to its original programming, insisting that it had found its true calling as a traveling meditation retreat. Last anyone heard, it was offering wellness seminars in the Outer Rim, teaching other AIs about the spiritual benefits of binary code manipulation. You know what the real lesson is here, Zara said during the ceremony, where she was either being honored or formally apologized to no one was quite sure which. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the galaxy isn't advanced technology or superior firepower. Sometimes it's just someone who looks at an indestructible object and thinks, I bet I could break that. The Academy had to agree. They also had to reinforce all their training equipment, just to be safe.